Good afternoon, and welcome to the HR Guru. My name is Tony. I want to talk to you today about human resources, as I know there are a lot of people that are graduating. 2025, you're graduating from high school, you're graduating from college, and you have an interest in the career field of human resources, but you just don't really know which direction to go. A lot of times you do not understand the different roles of human resources. I'll go ahead and go down that list for you. Our entry level position is an HR coordinator. Next, we have the HR advisor, which is also known as an HR specialist or recruiter. They're one and the same. We then have the HR manager and HR VP. The roles are equivalent, but they do have different things different functions. So I'll talk about that. And let's go ahead and start with the HR coordinator. The HR coordinator, as I mentioned, is an entry level position. And what that person does is they support the HR team. And some organizations, there will be an HR coordinator that assists with background checks, they're checking status. They may schedule interviews. In most cases, they do schedule interviews with the hiring managers and the applicants. Also, screenings for the advisor specialist of talent acquisition with the candidates, the applicants. And they'll track a lot of these items in addition to that. So, where are they in different stages of the process? A lot of times when they're scheduling the interviews, if there's any conflict, anything changes, they're going in and making modifications. They're checking the calendars of all parties involved. So again, the hiring manager does an interview, but prior to that, you have the talent advisor specialist recruiter that will do a phone screening. All of those things are coordinated by the coordinator. They do a lot of other tasks, but those are some of the main tasks that they do. Me personally, when I go into meetings, my HR coordinator is with me with their laptop as well. And in those meetings, I'm having a conversation about things that are moving for the current roles that we have and statuses. If they want real time data, my coordinator usually has that information. They share that information with me. They share that information with our hiring managers on a weekly basis. So it takes a lot of tasks away from me that allows me to focus on some more critical tasks at that time. Which now takes me to the advisor specialist recruiter of talent acquisition. And the talent acquisition has a multitude of things that they do. And what they normally do is they are the persons that post job opportunities out there. Before they do that, they must have what's called an intake call with the hiring manager. The hiring manager will give them information about the role, what they're looking for, what their ideal candidate should have. The most basic qualifications means that anyone with those qualifications will pass through the system. They will not be rejected, and they will go directly to that recruiter assigned to that role. The recruiter will then screen for preferred qualifications to see if they have additional things that will be beneficial to the department for that role, to the hiring manager. Those would be ideal candidates. It could be having a certain type of degree, a certain type amount of experience, different things, or it can be and are have a degree or have X amount of experience. So it could be those items. It could be additional skills that the hiring manager know that they can use later or even at that time. So that ideal candidate may encompass that. And that will make that person ideal candidate. And that's definitely one of the people that we want to check off to be scheduled for a phone screening by the talent acquisition specialist. And then hopefully, if everything goes well, that person, along with others in the same realm, will go to the hiring manager after the coordinator has scheduled the actual interview. So if they can make it past the system, they will go to the advisor, specialist, recruiter, and from there, it will go to the hiring manager who will make a decision if they would like to have a job offer go to that candidate or that applicant at that time. And now they're a candidate if it does. And that will be the advisor, specialist, recruiter that will extend that offer, talking about the role itself, confirming what the role is, negotiating a pay rate. Very important. So you learn how to do those things because you a lot of times will get pushback. Is that negotiable? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Just depends on the company, depends on the role. And so those are things that the advisor, specialist, recruiter will discuss with the candidate. Also, they're selling the brand. Why is it great to work for X company? X company offer these benefits for you that are be very beneficial to you. It can be healthcare, tuition reimbursement, for example, and other benefits. Some companies offer discounts with wireless companies, with rental companies. So you're selling the brand. So if that applicant is considering X company, and they're also considering Y company, why are you a better fit for them? And so if that is a candidate that you definitely want to have, you definitely want to talk about those benefits and how those benefits can be beneficial to them as well as possibly to their family members as well. So that's what an advisor, specialist, recruiter does. If it, again, goes to the manager wants to hire them, they extend the offer, talk about the benefits, they extend the offer, and they extend the offer in the talent acquisition system. The talent acquisition system that companies use, some of the majors are PeopleSoft, Taleo, and Workday. And those are great systems. Of course, all systems are, they have issues at times. They're not perfect. So it's up to the talent advisor to monitor that candidate throughout the process. Make sure there's no hiccups in the system. Make sure that they're walking through going through the system, through the process smoothly. If they don't, and there is a hiccup, they can be stuck in a specific part of that process, and no one would know. For that reason, you also have the advisor, specialist, recruiter running reports. Example, Workday Talent Acquisition System has reports called through a system called Tableau. That's within Workday. And Tableau, you can pull down all of the candidates that have been in process. You can see what stages they are in and how long they've been within those stages. Very important. In addition to that, the coordinator is tracking those candidates through the process. So the background check, we know how long it takes to do the background check. If they have an offer extended and they have not responded within a timely manner, the coordinator and or the recruiter, specialist, advisor may reach out to the candidate to get an idea of what's holding them up. Are you still thinking about it? Are you on vacation? Are you out of the country? What is the situation? Background checks. Background checks do have a certain amount of time in which they need to be completed. Very important. That can be a determination whether or not they actually get the role. They just because you have a job offer, if you do not do some of the things that you're supposed to do, like the background check and the drug screening within a timely manner, that offer can be rescinded by the specialist, advisor, or recruiter. And at that point, you no longer have an opportunity there. It's gone. So those things are important. That's why you do have to monitor the entire process just to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. Again, the data is very important. After you go, one of the things that manager does is they may do audits. So they may actually look at the processes. They'll pull reports to see where candidates are, how long they've been there. And this is good to help with engagement with the candidates to make sure that there are no hiccups. And if so, they can see it, stop it, reach out, or have the coordinator or advisor reach out to that candidate to find out, what's going on. Sometimes it's something that they didn't do on the candidate side that needs to be done. Other times it can be the system. So that's one of the important things that the manager does for talent acquisition and human resources. They also report those reports up to the stakeholders. So there's a lot of stakeholders that want to know what's going on because they are trying to determine attrition. There may be a turnover for whatever reason. There may also be individuals that are retiring, others that are going to get promoted. So, different reasons why you need to have an idea of how many people you have on hand so that you can prepare for that. So, you have to be forward thinking, you have to be strategic. And so, those are some of the things that the manager does is have those conversations with hiring managers to see what's going on, any new projects coming on board. Anything you see in the future that we need to know about, and then being able to make sure that they document that and have that conversation with stakeholders and others within that unit, that department that may need to know about these other items so that they can all be aligned and be able to make sure that they can meet the demands for the business needs. So then we have our HRBP and we have our HR generalist. HRBP, HR generalist. The HR generalist and HRBP have some very similar roles. They work directly with our stakeholders, with our leadership, making sure that if we have any special projects, they're monitoring those. They're also pulling reports. They're also having conversations very frequently with our stakeholders, letting them know how things are going, advising talent acquisition if there's a change in direction. They have conversations, meetings, and then they strategically figure out how they're going to go in that new direction. Or they may say, hey, let's get together and see how things are going. Do we need to tweak anything? So that's what an HRBP does. They monitor the project, they keep an eye on it, make any changes that need to be made, have conversations with stakeholders, make sure that everyone's aligned, and also make sure that we're meeting deadlines. If we need to have everyone in place for a special project, for example, within a certain amount of time before things get started, that is something the HRBP is monitoring. Our HR generalist usually works directly with directors, hiring managers to do the same thing for the most part, make sure that everything's aligned with the HRBP as well as the talent acquisition team. And they have conversations about different things, such as possibly something that's coming down the pipeline. It may not come from the HRBP, it may possibly come from the HR generalist. So it just really depends. Every company is different. So you have to keep those things in mind. And every position that is being hired for is not the same. Manufacturing may not be the same as a corporate position, a C-level position, a nursing position. So it really depends on the company, how their process is set up. Not every company's process will be set up the same. But for the most part, a lot of the things that I just mentioned are the normal basic processes within an organization. The things that you may do differently, for example, you may have to, for different organizations, you may have to do a lot of strong sourcing. So you may have to use LinkedIn Recruiter, Indeed Recruiter to help you find passive applicants, people that you can engage to bring them over to you because they don't know you're hiring. There's X amount of companies that are looking for individuals and they haven't thought about your company. So you have to go out and find them. You may or may not find them on LinkedIn Recruiter. And indeed, if it's something, for example, like a manufacturing job, but you can find them in other places like social media. So you have to be strategic. You have to know what the trends are. You have to know what your competitors are doing. You have to know where to find candidates. I work with a lot of vendors from overseas, from India, as well as local, and companies that actually specialize in sourcing and finding candidates. And you'll be surprised at how many times they have come to me because they weren't really sure where to find certain candidates. So it's very important to be strategic, to think about it. Where can I find these candidates? Build your pipeline, build connections. Again, manufacturing, you can't build these connections on LinkedIn and Indeed Recruiter. They're just not there. But again, they're on social media. All the other positions and roles that I discussed earlier, they will probably more than likely be on LinkedIn and Indeed Recruiter.